introduction. I have been a freelance makeup artist ever since college, so that's actually going on 13 years now. I do own my own business as well through a product brokerage company that I'm very excited about. I do build business internationally. I have a large organization in the UK, so I do a lot of things over there, including across the nation. One of the fun things that I've gotten to be a part of over the past couple of years is we started a beauty and business academy, really helping beauty professionals transition through this like evolution of our industry. Especially over this past year, we've helped so many people be able to like keep servicing their clients, keep their doors open online, even if they couldn't keep physically their doors open. I am a certified trainer with a cosmetic brand that I work with, and through Burke's Women in Motion, which is a women's organization for business in the community and networking group, I am the co-chair of that group. And so I will say Burke's Women in Motion isn't just for women in business. So a little plug for them. Check us out on Facebook. It is an incredible community of women that just look to come together, educate, network, and we also do some community outreach as well. And so we'd love for you all to be a part of that if you'd like to be a part of us. No membership fee for that, by the way. Okay, so everybody talks about choose your word, choose your word. What's your word for 2021? What's your word for 2020? The funny thing is I had never heard of that before. Nobody asked me like what your word is. And I was like, what's my word? I don't know what my word is. Like, that's a lot of pressure on one word to encapsulate 365 days. But what I will say is they're kind of two words that have stuck with me over the past several years. And I wanted to share this with you because you can feel free to choose your own. And it doesn't have to be one word that just represents this year, but it also could be some words that represent like where you want to go with your life. So one was abundance. And I had to break this down in the dictionary because the title of this is how to connect the inner versus the outer for an abundant new year. Well, what does abundance mean? It means a very large quantity of something. And so I think a lot of times when we talk abundance, people assume that that means money, and it's really not money. You could have an abundance of anything, an abundance of health, an abundance of wellness, an abundance of love, an abundance of great relationships. So I just encourage you all to take a moment and just jot down like a couple words, like what would you love to have an abundance of for 2021? It could be, I'll talk about this a little later on, but it could be an abundance of charcuterie boards. Because I don't know about you all, but I like myself a good charcuterie board. I will manja on that day, all day, every day, forever. I like a good charcuterie board. And of course now with everything that happened last year, everybody's sharing all kinds of charcuterie boards. So it's not just like meat and cheese. There's like cookie charcuterie boards and pancake charcuterie. I was like, y'all better stop because all this weight I'm about to lose, I'm about to put back on with some charcuterie boards. But it can be fun. So an abundance of anything that you desire. And here's the cool thing. We're going to talk about this in a little bit about what you want. It's about you. It's not about what you think other people think you should want. It's not about, what you think other people might want. It's not about comparisons to anybody else. This is about you. You don't have to justify it to anyone. You don't have to care what anybody else thinks about it. So if you're someone, and this was hard for me because I'm the one that's like, I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to feel good in my presence. I want everybody to believe in the things that I believe. And listen, we just can't win them all, right? You are not going to be everybody's latte, and that is fine. So I just want to encourage you all, and sometimes we need permission. I want to give you all permission that you can want whatever you want, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is about you, right? Intentional, done on purpose or deliberate, meaning that we want to carve out times when we talk about intentionality and when it comes to self-care, we want to carve out times that we do that for ourselves. And listen, I'm 34 years old. I have a husband. I have a dog. I don't have children yet. And so I can say this, having talked to several other women that do have families, even up to like 4 or 5 children, that it is still important for you to fill up your cup first. And for me, I know if it gets scheduled, it gets done. Right now, I'm struggling with exercise right now. So I'm like, changing this habit, I'm building my business, like I'm helping build the community, I'm doing all of these things. Like, when am I supposed to have time for exercise? And the thing is, I know I have time if I would just put it in my calendar and mark it down. If I scheduled that time for myself, I knew that I would commit to it. And so it's really just about kind of getting intentional also with our calendar to make sure that things that are going to fuel our health and fuel our joy moving forward is there for us. And then wealth, once again, just a plentiful supply of a particularly desirable thing. It does not have to be money. It can be relationships. Like I said, it can be love. It can be pets. People might want to be wealthy in pets. So whatever it is for you, just take a moment and jot it down, because I think so often we get so wrapped up in life that we don't actually take the time to write down what it is that we truly desire. And every one of us, no matter what you believe in, was put on this earth for a purpose. And I think that we feel the most joy when we're in alignment with that. Okay. So let's talk mind, body, spirit, and external. How are we kind of putting it all together? I was listening to a podcast. I'm a big podcast person. Anybody listen to podcasts? Yeah, we got a few hands in the air. Listen, I love a good podcast. I'm not going to be here promoting the iPhone because I really don't care what tool I have. But I will say there's a podcast app. So if you have an iPhone or even Spotify or iHeartRadio, you can listen to podcasts on here. And you can listen to podcasts about anything. 2 weeks ago, I drove cross country to California with my sister because she was moving out there. And we listened to a podcast called Two Girls, One Ghost. And it was just two gals like reading ghost stories. And it was amazing. Probably not what we should have been listening to at 11 p.m. in the middle of the desert, but yeah, it's what we chose. So you can find podcasts about anything, audiobooks. I mean, there are so many different tools, especially, maybe if you're going through treatments or know people that are going through treatments. Podcasts are a great way to just like pass the time, listening to all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to just be for business. But I wanted to talk about how something going on in one area bleeds into another area, whether it's positive or negative. And I was listening to this podcast about a gentleman whose business kind of had just grown stagnant. And you can swap out business for anything else in your life. Relationship had gone stagnant. Health had gone stagnant. And he was like, kept kind of squeezing it, like focusing on it, trying to pivot, change direction, try to do all of these things to build his business, and nothing was working. Meanwhile, his health was deteriorating. He was eating fast food all the time. He was overweight. And so finally, I think he had talked to a friend, and the friend was like, listen, take your businesses stagnant, but it's stable. Take the noose off of it and let's focus on your health, because what's the point of building a business if you're not going to be around to enjoy it? And so he started focusing on his health, started leaning out, drinking water. And I love that you have a nutrition night coming up next week, because that's going to be wonderful for you ladies. And I'll touch a little bit on that in a couple of slides, but I am not a nutritionist. So you listen to the woman that is coming at you next month. But what he found was, as his health started to change, his mindset started to change, because your food equals your mood. If you've never heard that before, think about it. Like, if there's a difference, if you take a couple weeks and you're hydrating, you're drinking water, taking good supplements, eating lean protein, good fiber, and then over the course of the holidays, we kind of dump a lot of sugar in our bodies sometimes. Sometimes our mindset tends to get a little negative and go south, and we don't even realize it. Your food equals your mood. So the whole point of that is, as he started focusing on his health and he started getting stronger, he realized his business started doing better. And so he realized that when you focus, if you're struggling in one area of your life, if you switch the focus and change a different area of your life for the better that you can control, it will bleed in a good way to other areas of your life. So if there's something going on that is kind of like, whether it's a relationship or, what have you, job, coworker relationship, if there's something that doesn't seem to be going well for you, I challenge you to pick another area that you'd love to focus on, that you can control, and control on getting better in that. Because also, I think there's something about seeing success. Have you ever been in a situation where you've just kind of felt like you were beating your head against a brick wall? It doesn't matter what it was, but it just wasn't getting better. And all of a sudden you start to doubt yourself, start to kind of feel a little weaker, mentally, emotionally, a little like your love tank's depleted in a lot of different areas, strung out, stressed out. I'm sure there are many moms that have experienced that over the past pandemic with all the children at home. I totally forgot where I was going with that. But the whole point being that if you focus on another area of your life, watch those other things. Oh, like you felt like you were beating your head against a brick wall. Look at how that thing will change kind of once you take the focus off of it and focus on something else that you can control. Sometimes we just need a little break. Sometimes we're worrying too hard at something that if we switch into another thing, we'll see all the things around us getting better. And here's one thing I can guarantee. When you become better, the world around you becomes better. And so let's talk about attitude for a moment, because that's huge. A healthy attitude is contagious, but don't wait to catch it from others. Be a carrier. That was a quote from Tom Stoppard. And I loved that because it was so true. Sometimes we can let the world around dictate how we're feeling or how we think about things. But really, we need to be in control of our own destiny, of our own attitude, because the number one person that we need to be our biggest cheerleader is ourself. So let's think about the things that we're telling ourselves. And there was something neat. There was a study done on the brain, and the brain doesn't know what's actually happening and what hasn't happened yet. It's really interesting. And so you can actually trick your brain into creating what you want to happen. Has anybody heard of law of attraction? Yeah. I'm a subscriber of it. I believe in it. I'm not a coach in it, so I can't go to the ins and the depths of whatever. But what I can say is what we tell ourselves, that thinking creates the world around us. And so we can tell ourselves and kind of trick our brain that we are, amazing in our career. We have healthy relationships around us. We are lean and mean and in the best of health we've ever been in. Like whatever that is, our mindset, no matter what we're going through, can really dictate what our results are. And so I kind of encourage, but also challenge everyone. If there's something in your life going on that you constantly feel yourself kind of saying the same things, or maybe there's an identity that you've talked to yourself into believing that you are, pick a different word, switch it up a little bit. For me, I was just like, my identity shift for myself was I grew up in a restaurant. I love to eat food. And so that's just how it is. And that might be the case, but at the same time, what is that doing for kind of like the best in health Maleeva that I want to become? Instead, what I could say to myself, instead of, oh, that's just the way it is, and kind of succumbing to my fate of just loving to eat food, I can say, I love food, but more importantly, I love putting food in my body that makes me feel in the best of health for myself and my family. It's just a little bit of an identity shift. So it's just about taking kind of maybe one negative thing, because listen, we can't change everything overnight. Something I've been telling my mom, I'm coaching her through her weight loss journey as well. And it's like, if you quit smoking and quit drinking and change your diet and try to take a sedentary lifestyle and make it exercise and try to change all of these things at once, you can overwhelm yourself and set yourself up for failure, right? So the goal is just to take one thing, change it, make it a habit. Then take the next thing, change it, make it a habit. Here's the neat thing. It talks, anybody here 28 days to create a new habit? No? Some, yeah. I mean, it's like some's 28, some 66. I don't know. I'm sticking with 28 because you can do 28 days in a month, right? So my whole thought was, look, if you picked one thing to change and did it for 28 days, that becomes a habit. Awesome. Next month, what's the next small thing you're going to change? If you make a habit of doing that over the course of 28 days in a year, there are 12 small things that you could have totally changed and made a habit. And so that's something that, I don't know, just throwing it out there for the BCSS community. If there's something that could benefit you all to create a habit, maybe that's something to do with a little challenge. We did one in October with my company, and it was a 28 days of skin challenge. And it wasn't about like completely changing your routine, but I found for me, the number one thing is I wasn't moisturizing at night. And we'll talk about how important that is. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to just make one small tweak in my routine. I'm going to decide I'm going to moisturize at night. And then over the course of 28 days, I just made sure every single night, because I made that promise to myself that I was going to moisturize for 28 days. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, 2.5 months later, I don't go to bed without moisturizing. It's a habit. It's almost painful. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm so tired, I go to roll over. I'm like, no, I'm going to turn over and I'm going to put my moisturizer on. Then I'm going to go back to bed, because it's just a habit. Here's the other thing too about creating habits is tweak it so that it makes it easier for yourself. For me, I just wasn't going to stand in my bathroom for 5 minutes and do a whole face care routine. So I just moved my moisturizer to my nightstand. Now I lay in bed and do it. So small shifts. Keep trying to change the slides on my laptop. Okay, so let's talk about a goal statement. There was a Harvard business study, get this, because this is huge. There was a Harvard business study done. 83% of the graduates had no goals. This out of all of these people that they were studying. 14% who had goals were 10 times more successful. Of those 14%, 3% actually had them written down, which made them 3 times more successful than the 14% who didn't have them written down, who were already 10 times more successful than the people who didn't have goals. What I took away from this was that have a goal and write it down. And it's about anything in your life. Could be health, could be wellness, could be relationships, like all of the things that we've been talking about so far. So I want everybody to take a moment and write down something that you maybe would like to change, or a goal that you have. It could be for a goal for 2021. It could be to read more, or hike more, or listen to a podcast, or anything. Wash your face. But take the time and just write something down that you would like to create a goal. It could be something work related, something and you'd like to get a promotion, whatever that is. Just pick something. I'm going to give you a minute because then I'm going to tell you how to craft a goal statement around it. Okay, so when creating a goal statement, and this is huge. Does anybody have children on here? Like school-age children?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Or even this is something to teach them as they get older. We have a couple? Okay. This is a wonderful activity to do with your kids, to teach them how to like create goals and then how to take ownership and kind of declare them into life. So what a goal statement is it's a paragraph, a short one. I can show you mine right here, with some power statements at the bottom. It's a short paragraph that's written in the present tense that you want to read 2 times a day. Why is it written in the present tense? Because remember what I said, the brain doesn't know what has happened, what's about to happen, what's not happening at all. So we can trick it. And if we tell ourselves out loud that the goals we want are happening, written in the present tense, they are more likely to occur, because it's kind of like you're declaring onto your life what you expect. And so the universe has no like reason not to bring those things that you want closer to you, because you're kind of declaring, speaking life over yourself, if you will. And so here's what we can talk about in a goal statement. Here's a great one. What do you want? Which is kind of what we just talked about. When do you want it by? Now listen, this could be a small goal. I want to make a habit of eating breakfast every morning, and I'm going to have that goal accomplished by February 1st of 2021. Could be a great goal. Could be something work related, could be something health related, whatever the case may be. What do you want and when do you want it by? We want to put an end cap on it, because kind of, they say a goal is a dream with a deadline. I don't know who they are, but I've heard that so many times. Goal is a dream with a deadline. So we want to put a date on it. Why? Because we also want to be telling our brain when we're speaking life onto this, when we expect this to happen by. And then last is, depending on what you're going for, what are you willing to give up, overcome, or become? Let's take the breakfast, for example. I'm willing to give up an extra 10 minutes of sleep in the morning so I can wake up and have breakfast on time before going to work. What are you looking to give up? Overcome. I'm going to overcome that alarm clock. I'm going to become a person that eats breakfast regularly to jumpstart my health and feel the best I possibly can each day. Just an example. So what do you want? When do you want it by? What are you willing to give up, overcome, and become in order to have it? Maybe that could be, I'm willing to give up disease. Awesome. That's a great thing to give up, right? Okay. The point is that this should be a great thing that you feel good reading out loud. You want to, they say your why is to make you cry. It doesn't. It just needs to get your heart sped up a little bit. When you read this, what do I want? When do I want it by? And what I'm willing to give up, overcome, and become, it should speed up your heart a little bit. Should maybe like make you smile, even if it's not externally, maybe in your mind, thinking about accomplishing those things and then visualizing it. Because guess what? According to the Harvard study, you are 13 times more likely to make that happen and to become successful in that when you're willing to write it down, and then even greater, you're willing to speak it out loud onto yourself. So I put mine right by my iPad, because when I sit down to do work for the day, boom, I'm saying it out loud. And if you want a little extra trick, you've heard of like power poses, like people stand like Superwoman. You can also victory pose. Arms above the air, like you just want to race. And you can declare this out loud to yourself. I'm telling you, you're probably going to feel like a weirdo the first couple times you do it, but there's something about when you lift your arms above your head, you already start getting your heart palpitating. And in that kind of like joyous moment where you're feeling alive, when you declare this, it does something a little bit differently, because what we speak and how we feel when we're speaking it go together and make it more powerful. All right. So congratulations, ladies. You all have written or in the process of writing your goal statement. I encourage you, whether it's on a sticky note, a note card, if you have it kind of like on a booklet, I encourage you to transfer it to like a note card or a sticky note somewhere you could put it. Bathroom mirror, vanity, magnet on the fridge, just so that you have that in front of you. And it kind of reminds me too of like where you're going, which is really exciting. We want to be excited about where we're going, right? Okay, so fun action item. Let's pick 3 things right now that you want. Anything, just write them down. 3 things. Could be new home, pet cat, kid to graduate college. Once again, it's about what you want. Doesn't matter what anybody else wants. And then from here, we're going to go a little bit deeper and break it down into something called the W's workshop. And it's a little bit kind of like a goal statement, but it kind of digs a little bit deeper because we talk about why. Has anybody heard of the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek? Oh, it's
you were telling me about,
good.
right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd hold it up, but I actually have it in my living room because that's where I do my snuggling and reading. But it is an incredible book about why some companies are so successful, but it's because they start with their why. They start with their mission, and then everything else is just the physical manifestation of it, like the what they sell. So the first W is why. Why do you want that thing? Because that's important to know. I think sometimes we think we want things and then we realize we think we want it just because we've seen it on Instagram or everybody else seems to want that thing. And then we realize, I don't really want that thing. I was listening to a podcast by oh my gosh, her last name just escaped me, but Mel Robbins. A wonderful woman. She has so many incredible podcasts and books and YouTube. She's the founder of the 5-second rule. But she said something really funny once. She said, I really wanted 6-pack abs. Really wanted 6-pack. She's like, and I was mad that I didn't have them. Everybody else, all these people that I was following, doing their lifts and getting their crunches in, had 6-pack. I didn't have 6-pack and I was annoyed by it. And then she started to realize that all of those people that had a really lean 6-pack abs, didn't drink, didn't eat foods that brought her joy. And so she had to realize, okay, so I would have to give up a lot of things that I love in order to have 6-pack abs. And she's like, okay, so if you want 6-pack abs, you need to stop complaining about it and do the things necessary. Or she just kind of realized she didn't really care all that much about 6-pack abs. She preferred eating a cheeseburger every once in a while. And so she gave that up. But it was and I guess the point of that is there are things that you might think you want because it's something you wanted 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or maybe even last year. And maybe that's changed for you. That's okay. Change is a wonderful thing. So the first thing about why you want it is, why do you want it as who you are now? Is it something you really want? because this is a great thing. Sometimes we hold on to things we don't even realize, like, it doesn't serve us anymore. We don't want it. So then the next is, when do you want it by? And you can put that one on down. All right, the next one's kind of fun because it breaks down a little bit more our resources. What do you need in order to have it? You know, for me, on my health journey right now, I'm looking to lose weight in order to like provide a healthy home for child. Or so my nurse practitioner tells me. So for me, I need to know, okay, well, what are my resources? One of my resources is a weight loss journal, like actually a food journal that allows me to make sure I'm getting my hydration in. It's making sure that I'm writing all my foods down, which is something that I never wanted to do. I didn't want to journal what I was eating because then I would have to be like held accountable for it. Who wants to do that? But in the goal of wanting to get where we want to go, sometimes we need to be held accountable, which is why I think it would be such a wonderful idea if those that were into it wanting to create something new as a habit for 28 days, you did a 28-day challenge in a BCSS community. It doesn't all have to be the same thing that you're changing, but then you all can lift each other up on the journey because listen, there are going to be hiccups that come along the way. There are things that happen that like can throw us off track. And if the why that we want that thing isn't strong enough, it's easily that we can be kind of thrown off or distracted from our goal. And so what are the resources that you need to get it? For me, it was also an accountability coach. That was a great resource that I needed because that helps keep me on track. And I need several accountability resources. I need like a daily, I need like a weekly. I need an every evening one just to kind of help me, especially with the exercise. But I've lost 7 pounds in 7 days and 3¼ inches. So I'm happy to report that it's going well. And I'm not a miserable human being because my body actually feels great and food equals mood. I've just been so much more relaxed and just like positive, filled with just energy, which is huge. You know, energy has a lot to do with how we feel, right? And last, who would that serve? Or who would it help? Is it something that would help you? But another thing is, okay, healthy, who also is that helping? It's helping my future family. It's helping my husband. It's helping my dog because I want to take her on more walks now because I have the energy to do it. So who in your life is that helping? It's called a 4 W's workshop. And this is something that I could actually, if you wanted it, I could send along like a breakdown. And so you could do this for every single one of your goals. Why do you want it? When do you want it by? What are your resources? And who does it serve? Awesome. Great job, ladies. Does anybody want to share? Don't be shy. Vanessa's like, I'm going to look down so that she doesn't make eye contact with me. It's okay if nobody does. I just wanted to throw it out there. Okay. So how do we keep our brain in the game? So we talked about all of these wonderful things, and Maleeva, you talked about setting goals and writing goal statements. Like, that's wonderful. But what happens when I just don't feel like it? Because guess what? There are going to be days that we just don't feel like it. There are days that I definitely would rather eat a cookie than a piece of celery. But what's going to keep my brain in the game? So development is a discipline. It really is. It takes discipline to get the things that we want. And if we want more, we have to become more. I've learned, I heard about this in a podcast once, and I thought it was incredible. But a gentleman said his goal was to become 100% better every single year. I was like, okay, well, that sounds ambitious. What does that look like, 100% better? And he said, well, okay, if I broke it down, I would just need to become 1/3% better every single day if I wanted to be 100% better by the end of the year. He said, I looked at it in 2 categories. I listened to an audio, something that helped me grow in the area that I wanted to grow, relationships, business, like whatever, health. and he listened to, or a leadership podcast, could be a sermon. There are some excellent sermons. I have a couple of my recommendations listed below that I'll talk about, some specific, but they're also incredible just to listen to all of their podcasts. And then 20 pages of a book, because there's something about the way our brain filters information, and it's different visually, like physically holding something, than it is listening to something. And so I highly recommend both. And that was his plan. And I thought, dang, like if you can just focus on becoming a little bit better every single day, at the end of a year, you could be 100% better. And going back to, if we become better, the world around us becomes better. How amazing would that be? You can kind of take control of the world around you just by focusing on yourself. And so some of my favorite podcast recommendations, Ed Milet. I think he's incredible. He looks like a WWE wrestler, but his content is so wonderful. Like a lot of growth and leadership and self-development. And he interviews a lot of like world-renowned like sports people and celebrities and people that have high performers in the business world. So I thrive on stories. I love listening to people's stories. That's why I love watching Shark Tank. Like I love just like hearing what people are doing, what they've overcome and what they've been through, because it also like gives us some perspective on our own life, right? And so one of my favorite audios of his is actually the X Factor for Success in 2020. It wasn't in 2021. It was in 2020. That's the title of it. So you can look for that by Ed Milet. But also I highly encourage just follow his channel. It's amazing. Rise with Rachel Hollis. She has a great podcast, but she wrote something, or she has a title called The Most Important Thing I Do Every Year. I thought it was such an incredible podcast. She goes back through her entire calendar, figures out what worked, what didn't work, she would never do again, and then picks 5 things that would make her feel joy that when she wants to do more of. So that's a super fun thing for us to do. Elevation by Stephen Furtick is a sermon. He's a pastor of Elevation Church, and he has with TD Jakes a podcast called The Crushing, talking about grapes have to be crushed to become wine. Sometimes we have to go through a crushing to become a better version of ourselves. So it just gives some amazing perspective. And then Justin Shank is a Reading man right here, Reading, Pennsylvania, with the Growth Now movement. Incredible podcast where he does a lot of interview styles. And so I just highly encourage, feel free to take a screenshot or jot some of these down, check them out. And then some books. I rearranged this a little bit, not just to be about business, because a lot of times I speak to people in business. Oh, hi, Diana. I hope I pronounced that. I just saw that we have somebody new. Hello. So a couple books that I love. The You're a Badass series by Jen Sincero is phenomenal. She talks about just like taking ownership of like the powerful, wonderful you that you are and just owning the crap out of it. And so I love that series. She has the You're a Badass at making money, and then You're a Badass every day, which is more of a workshop style book. The Go Giver series by Bob Berg. I love. I have a couple of his books here, but these I've just read recently, I've just discovered recently, and are kind of changing my perspective on how I do life in general. Because a lot of people think business books are like self-development is all about business. No way. Self-development is just becoming better us. And there isn't kind of like that negative connotation that there used to be years ago. And so he has one called Go Giver Leader and Go Giver Influencer. And they're both wonderful. And think about it. You don't have to be leading a team in an organization or in your job. If you have a family, you have influence over them. You're a leader of your family. You're a leader of your children. You're a leader of your friends. And so it's really an incredible book on just how to like become better ourselves. So that's the Go Giver series. Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. She has some amazing TED Talks on YouTube. I highly encourage you check her out. She has one on vulnerability that is so funny and well done. Becoming a Person of Influence. Another thing about influence, because everyone has influence. We have influence over ourselves. And that is the most important. We should be the best influencer over ourselves, which is why I kind of opened this up with talking about mindset and setting goals and what do we want and why do we want it? Because that's important to know. So many people don't take the time to write it down. And then The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. She's the executive producer of, you've heard of Grey's Anatomy, and the Fire Company one she does. And there's also a new one that she has. I didn't even realize was her. Oh, I think she was behind Bridgerton or Bridgerton, if you saw that on Netflix. So good. But that's also a Shonda, so good. That's also, I believe, a Shonda Rhimes one. So she's the executive producer of those like blockbuster shows. She talks about her journey with like getting well and just her being in life and the way she led her life. And she's hilarious. So great books, just as recommendations. Okay, so I love that you're having a nutrition segment next month. I highly encourage y'all get to it. So just my couple things that I'm learning in my health journey. Your food is your mood, your health affects your attitude. So it's so important. It doesn't have to be a weight loss goal. Like being healthy isn't just about losing weight. Being healthy is just about making sure like our gut is working well. Our gut is our second brain. Our gut dictates the way our skin looks. The gut dictates the way we feel inside, dictates our energy, sometimes our brain fogginess. All of that is important when it comes to our internal well-being. And especially when we're battling any type of illness or disease, we want to make sure our body is in the best flipping possible state in order to be able to do that. And so what you're putting in it is hugely important. My top rule, more protein and fiber, less empty carbs and sugar. It really doesn't have to be any more difficult than that. I mean, there's these fads and there's trends and keto this and low carb that. And listen, at the end of the day, protein and fiber with every meal makes wellness no big deal. That's it. So that's like, yay me. I'm not a nutrition coach, but that's my number one when it comes to just like overall healthy eating or healthy living. Also hydrate, like hydrate. In the morning, I've gotten to the habit because sometimes we just drink caffeine right away, or like whether it's a tea or whether it's a coffee, and that's very dehydrating to our body. So we want to make sure first thing in the morning, drink a glass of water, lemon water, warm water, cold, like room temperature, doesn't matter. Hydrate the body. It's great for the brain. It's great for the intestines. It's great for the gut. It's great for our digestive system. It's so important to hydrate. It is so important to eat whole foods. No matter what wellness journey you are on, I think there's a lot of things out there that are very restrictive. It is important. Your body needs fuel, and that fuel comes from the food that you give it. And so you want to make sure, once again, great lean protein and fiber, drinking enough water, and then 80-20 rule. Listen, have the cookie, have the piece of cake, have the French fry or some cheeseburgers once in a while. Well, I can't really eat more than one cheeseburger at a time, but it's just about moderation. 80% doing things that fuel your wellness. The other 20% is like the other having fun. Me, I'm a lot more proactive and productive and successful when I don't feel like I'm just having to sacrifice left and right, you know? And so that's when it comes to the body. And then move your mass. Sometimes that's walking your dog. Listen, there was a study done, I don't know it off the top of my head, but just getting outside with fresh air and like the night sky or the day sky or the sun or anything just in nature, even looking at a picture of nature, increased serotonin and endorphin levels in the body, increased the happiness, increased your happy hormones. And so moving your mass doesn't have to be like rigorous exercise because every body is different. I don't know what that looks like for you, but for me, sometimes it's just walking my dog, going for a hike. Even every night I go outside and just look at the stars for a couple minutes when I let my dog outside, and I feel the energy flow through me. So just move your body. You know, it doesn't have to be super, super rigorous, but just do something. Sometimes I'll just do a plank and then want to die after 60 seconds, but feel like I did something. So that's when it comes to body. The other thing I highly encourage is supplement. I'm not going to go too much into it tonight, but it's something that I have been trained in, and I just warn everybody, not all supplements and vitamins are created equal, but there's just no way that we're getting everything that we need for optimal wellness from our food supply, just kind of with what's going on. I have some great videos I can share. So if anybody has any questions about that division of health and wellness, feel free. I'll give everybody my information after this. Please reach out to me. I would love to chat with you about that. And then spirit. These are some of the things that, you know, I want. You have to be intentional with your time. We truly can have it all if we put ourselves first. What do they tell us on the plane? Everybody listen to the flight attendant, talks about the seatbelt, talks about the floating device, talks about masks are going to drop. Put it on yourself before you put it on the person next to you. Why does she say that? Because we can't put it on the person next to us if we can't breathe. And this is so important. I get emotional when I talk about it because how many women are going through the world right now not being able to breathe? Not literally, but because there's so much going on in their life, they're feeling crushed and they're trying to give to everybody else, give to everybody. We're so good at it, right? When we give to everybody else and we're depleted. Here's the thing, your cup, it's gotta be full. You deserve, I just got chills, you deserve for it to be full. And what that looks like filled is completely different for every unique person. Maybe that's taking 20 minutes in the morning, hiding in the bathroom and reading a good book where like you can lock the door and people can't get to you. Maybe it's taking a nice hot shower. Maybe it's doing a little pampering, like doing a foot soak, taking a bath. Whenever I'm grumpy, I just throw water at myself. It's always great. Hot shower, jump in the pool. Like it's always wonderful to throw water at it. And so you have to put yourself first. You know, I learned once that, you know, everything that you put in the cup is for you. What spills out is for others. And so we need to be like pouring joy and wonder and life and energy into our own cups, because guess what we give the rest of the world? And we can't give the world the best of us if we're only giving the rest of us. And so if you need permission, I'm giving it to you right here. Maleeva Epperson Langle, Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm giving you permission to treat yourself first. It is not selfish, it's self-full. You're making yourself self-full. And so calendar example, just put it in the calendar. And listen, non-negotiable. My Friday nights, date night. I don't care how thriving my business is. I don't care who needs me. My Friday night's my date night because I also need a relationship with my husband. Super important. I make that time for ourselves. And I'll let you know in a year or two from now when we have children how well I'm keeping up with that. But I once again need to ensure that that is solid. I have to take that time for myself. So these were a couple of things. Like my husband, that was him and I on our honeymoon in Italy, which was phenomenal. Drinking red wine. Can't really do it right now, but just for me, red wine is like social. Just like good food, good friends, glass of red wine. Like that is just fun for me. I need more of that in my life, considering I couldn't see anybody for like 9 months. I'm ready to see some people. Like 2021, it is up for when we can see some people. And then of course, charcuterie boards of all shapes and sizes and types. I love them. I want to always have them. Okay, so I didn't think that I could talk for as long as I did, but shoot, I did. So here we go. Last 6 minutes, I'm bringing you in for a landing. Let's talk skin. We have 3 different layers. We spent a lot of time, which I would think is really important, spent that time internally talking about getting our head right, fueling our body, having our energy up, you know, all that wonderful stuff. Super, super important going through. And I hope there's a gold nugget that you took for today that you feel confident, like taking action on moving forward. So let's talk a little bit about skin because it is our largest organ. It's really important that we take care of it because it's also not just what we see every day, but what everybody else sees as well. So we have 3 layers. We have the epidermis, which is what we see. We have that dermis layer, which is that like stuffing. Think of a mattress. That's the stuffing in the mattress. And then the subcutaneous tissue layer are the box spring, those springs that keeping everything pushed up and springy. We all also got some bugs. And it's okay, they're your bugs, it's fine. But there's this little guy, this is like a super blown up picture of him called the Demodex mite. And did you know that this guy actually lives on your face? And he eats all of the oils and dead skin on your face? And even more fun, is this guy does not have an anus. And so when he gets so full, he just explodes right on your face and in your pores. You're welcome. True story, look it up, Demodex mite. So the whole moral of the story, wash your face every day, morning and night. Morning, because as we slept, unless you're changing your pillowcases and you're not sweating or producing any oils over the course of 8 hours while you're sleeping, gotta wash your face in the morning. Then wash your face at night, or else you're gonna have this little guy, and you can't see him, right? But just know, you will forever know that this little guy's on your face. Lori, the director of the Chamber of Commerce, the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce, was like, thank you very much for that. I've never not washed my face ever since. the 9 o'clock club that she was at. So if you got one thing from this entire presentation, ladies, wash your face. Very important that you do. Do not want this guy exploding on it. So I have just a fun little activity. Real quick, do me a favor and put these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 systems in order of how you think you should do them. So we got tone, eye cream, we have our mask, and exfoliate and moisturize. We're gonna cleanse, we're gonna have our sunscreen, then we're gonna have our treatment product. I'm gonna give you all like 60 seconds to put these babies in order. So first step to the very last step. How are you feeling? Anybody think they have it right? Everybody's like, probably not. All right, and we are ready to find out our proper steps. Let's do it. Here's your correct order. Anybody know you had to cleanse twice? Yeah, okay, so here's what we got going on. Our cleanser isn't meant to remove our makeup. It's supposed to remove like the dirt and the oil and the impurities throughout the day. So if we're using our cleanser to remove our makeup, we gotta cleanse twice. Once to remove the makeup, once to get everything that was underneath the makeup. So I highly encourage take a makeup remover wipe, or you can do liquids, either way, and just remove your makeup first. Then you're gonna cleanse your skin. After that, you're going to exfoliate, or if you're using water. So there are exfoliators that are kind of mechanical bead-like. So if you're using that to exfoliate your skin, this is one like every 2 to 3 times a week. So this isn't every day. But if you're using water then to remove it, you need to do this step first. Exfoliating is what's going to help take those dead skin cells off so that now we have fresh, plump, juicy skin cells coming to the surface that we're going to do all of our other treatment products on. Exfoliation, really, really important. Next step, we're going to tone. Why do we want to tone? We need to reset our pH balance so it actually properly absorbs anything else we put on top. Number one missing regimen, missing product in someone's regimen is a toner. And so they're using all their serums and their moisturizers and everything else. It's all sitting on topically. It's not penetrating and able to do its job. When you use a toner, resets your pH and lets you actually get the best benefit of all the other things that you put on top. Now, if you're going to use a mask, like a sheet mask, and you don't need to rinse it off, you can do your toner and then do your mask. So this isn't like something you have to do every single day. You can cleanse and exfoliate and tone and go right to your moisturizer, or you can cleanse and tone and throw a mask on and then go to your eye cream. But this is just if you were going to use all of those things, this is what you would do in order. I highly encourage, though, at the very least, have a 3-step skincare system: cleanse, tone, moisturize, so that at least you're getting the best benefit to get your skin moving in the right direction moving forward. What I will say is I wanted to wait to see how many people popped on before I could offer this, but I will offer a free Zoom consult to every single woman on this call. So if anybody wants help with their skincare, anybody wants help with their makeup routine, anybody wants a little help with like their wellness or just has questions about supplementation or what they're using or what should they be using, I'm highly skilled and trained in all 3. I'd be happy to do a Zoom consult with each and every one of you. Totally on me. Of course. And this is just funny. This is the same guy. So don't tell me a beard and a good haircut don't have the same effect as makeup. Because you can see a woman before and then a woman after her skincare and makeup, and this is the exact same effects with the guy. Same man, but haircut and beard really makes a difference, so the same goes for a woman. And just to wrap it up, talking about beauty, nearly half of the women in the US feel that wearing makeup makes them feel more in control. And listen, even though we did most things on Zoom, I still put my lipstick on for y'all, still put a little mascara and some blush on because it just brings some light and life to the face. And so I'm here to help make the makeup counter a little less overwhelming. I'd be happy to help you do a little bit makeup bag remix and figure out what's the best fit for you. And I can teach anybody a 5-minute face with 4 products. And I've done it and I've timed it. So that's one of my specialties as well. 82% of women believe wearing makeup makes them feel more self-confident. And just think, if you're feeling more self-confident, how do you think you present yourself to the world? Whether it's in your relationships or in your business, confidence is huge. That comes from our food. It comes from the way we carry ourselves. 86% of women wearing makeup felt wearing makeup improved their self-image. So beauty really is about empowerment, whether it's a little or a lot. It didn't take me a lot of time to look like this. I actually, probably an hour before this call, I'd spent just like in the basement feeding my husband's critters. Then I came up, washed my face, slapped this on in about 5, maybe 6 minutes because I was listening to something else and I was good to go. And so it really doesn't take a lot of time in order to be able to put your best face forward. And so listen, ladies, thank you so much for sticking with me and for doing these workshops. I really, really hope that I was able to lift you up a little bit and that you got maybe something out of here that you can feel confident walking into 2021, carrying it with you to no matter what happens out there in the world, that you make it the best year ever for you. Your entire life can really change in a year. You just got to love yourself enough to know you deserve more, be brave enough to demand more, and disciplined enough to actually go and work for it. So thank you, ladies, all so much for your time. Does anybody have any questions? Or Lynn, feel free. I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Just took the words right out of my mouth about questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know I jumped on late, but will the presentation be available, like emailed to us or anything so that I could look through it?
Oh, I'm more than willing to do that, Lynn. If I send it to you, would that be okay? Yeah.
Should I put my email in the chat? Is there a chat?
I'll send it. Yeah, Lynn, do you have everybody's email? Or if you want to put your email in the chat, Lynn, I'll grab that for you. Or whoever, Lynn, if you want to dictate to somebody else. And I'm just going to stop the share so I can see all of your faces at one time. There we go. Yay.
And Vanessa probably, I don't know if she'll be able to have it on video, but I'm not sure the time frame with that as well.
Oh, amazing. So you'll have the recording. Oh, look at that little recording in the top. I see it is being recorded. Wonderful. And what I'm going to do real quick, ladies, if anybody has any questions that kind of pop up to you after we disperse, I'm going to put my information in the chat box. Feel free to reach out to me. If you would like to take me up on that complimentary consult in any division, I'm more than happy. Or all
And I will also include that information. Tomorrow I'll send everybody an evaluation of tonight's presentation, and then I will include Maleeva's information just to reiterate that.
Perfect. Just popping in my Facebook. And if you want to follow me on IG, it is at Maleeva's Motive. Here we go. Anything else I can help you all with this evening, ladies? No, I'm good. Have you all written a goal statement before, or were there some things that were new for you? Lynn's
I had too many goals, so I need to narrow them down.
Yeah. I think focusing on the W of the 4 W's is one of the great ones, because looking at all the goals, there'll probably be a few that feel stronger than some others, and that'll help you know, okay, like this is where my priority needs to be right now. And then I can get to the other things once I'm on track for, these over here.
Nina, I think you were saying something, but you were on mute.
I was saying I enjoyed the presentation. Just being one of the things that I guess being women is that we feel guilty when we take time for ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, the filter came off when I turned 50, 15 years ago. And It was like, okay, I'm done feeling guilty all the time. I'm learning to shake my head east and west. Because most of the time we shake our heads north and south, but don't want to.
Mm,
It's a hard thing to do.
yeah.
I mean, regardless of whether you say that you've made that commitment to do it, it's still a hard thing to do because you feel bad sometimes.
Mhm.
I'm working on it, but I'm getting over it.
One of the best quotes that I heard was, not everybody that needs your time deserves your time. And that was like a, oh, because I mean, I, not just in like my personal world, but then I also build a business of people, and a lot of people are like reaching out, but then you have to realize, okay, well, who's actually deserving of the time? And who, first and foremost, does my priority need to be? Like, maybe it's your immediate family, and then it's your someone else, and then someone else. And so you have to look also and say, hey, I also deserve to see results from the time and energy that I'm spending, not just from myself, but like when I talk about coaching, the people I'm coaching, I want to see them move forward. If they're not moving forward or implementing anything that we're coaching, then it's kind of like, well, what are we doing here? You know? And so I think that's a big thing. And also the other thing I heard was, no is a complete sentence. Because how many of us will say no, but then we're like, oh, and then we have to justify it and say the excuses, and it can simply just be no. And that's totally okay. Take some practice, because you'll feel that stinging kind of in your gut. And it's just like, you're about to say something else and you're like, just walk away.
You know, I think having cancer has given me a lot more like power to be able to say no, and to be cognizant of my own time and responsible to myself and my family with that time. And so I used to say that I was being like selfish, or not putting myself out into the community or to friends or whatever enough. And I was very involved in all of that. But with having to go through treatment and everything, I had to be cognizant of, I only have so much energy each week. And I want to hold on to that power going forward, because I think it's just so valuable. Because like you said, you would feel this pull to help everybody, because of course I can help. I'm capable. I'm, I could squeeze that in, or I know how to do that. So I should be able to do it for this person, that person, that person. But, really being aware of the limited time and energy that I have, even as I get more energy, it's something that I'm trying to really hold on to and just be responsible to myself and, like I said, my family. And like when I phrase it that way, it helps me with it. I don't feel bad anymore,
Yeah.
I guess, when I tell people no, or I don't do that, or I decide not to go to something. I don't feel bad, which is very new for me.
Relish in it, like live in that space for a moment. Like, I said no and I felt great. Like, allow yourself.
I do,
Yeah.
because what happens is I feel lighter. I don't feel the weight of the guilt, and I don't feel the weight of the responsibility that I've then said yes to, that I end up not really wanting to have said yes to.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of freedom and levity that comes from that. So it's just trying to make sure that I pick, the right things to put my time and self to. So yeah, it's one of those things. I found there's a lot of gifts that I've gotten from it. Yeah, there's a lot of yeses, heads shaken. I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, going through this pandemic, my treatment was through the whole thing, and everybody was, struggling and and I'm like, I just keep feeling blessed with so many things, being able to have treatment, being able to have support, and so Anyway, I'm going to stop talking because I'm rambling.
That's incredible. And listen, everybody needs to benefit from other people's stories because everyone's at different spots in their story, and hearing other people thriving and hearing their revelations and hearing their empowerment keeps us all going, no matter what it is we're fighting. Everybody's fighting something, right?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like it was a total shit show, but, and I got some more show to go. But, you know, if I could do this, you know, y'all got it.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, gratitude reciprocates. So if you are grateful, or if you can find things in your day to be grateful for, the Lord, the universe, whatever you believe in, will heap it on you, give you more things to be grateful for. And even if you need to write a power statement to remind you, I feel confident and free and light when I set boundaries, write that down, because then you can read that. So that was a big one for me, setting boundaries. And I had to look at who are all the people I admire. And I wrote all of the different things that I admire, because why I admired them. And then gave myself permission to say, I don't admire them because of these things. I admire me because of these things. And all of a sudden it became so much more powerful. But it was such an incredible night spending with you all. I look forward to hopefully hearing from you and helping engage even further. Ladies with BCSS, I'm so excited to connect with you all further to see what we can do together and maybe create some fun workshops and just so much more content that we can bring to the community. I'm really looking
That
forward
would be
to
awesome.
We'll have to put our heads together, Lynn.
Yes. I did send an email earlier.
To me?
Perfect.
Yes.
We'll pick the time, we'll make it a date.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nice to meet
So
you.
you'll get us the recording of this too, you said?
I think that's
Yeah.
on Vanessa.
So
Yep.
I will have it uploaded to YouTube within the week, so then I'll be able to send that out. Did you hear that?
YouTube's my
Yeah.
territory.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be wonderful. Thanks so much, Vanessa. And then I will, Lynn, is it okay if I send the PowerPoint to you?
Oh, I was just going to ask you that.
Yep.
And I'll make sure everybody in attendance tonight gets that. We
Excellent.
appreciate that, as well as your very generous offer to all the women on this Zoom call
My
tonight.
pleasure. Really is. Really is. All right, ladies.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
If we can be of service, you know where to reach us.
Let's
Thank
make
you,
it a wonderful
everyone.
week. Howard, ready to crush.
Yes.
All right. Have a great night, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.